Hi, Joyce here. Today I want to introduce you to a tool called the pause button. Oftentimes in our society, something will happen and people are admired because they can come back with a snappy response or a quick retort. And maybe I'm not so great at that. And oftentimes when I come back with a snappy response, I say something that I regret that may have come out hurtful or may not have expressed things the way I would have normally liked to express them. And so the pause button allows you to consider your response so that when you're responding, you're doing something that you won't regret later. The other thing is, don't let people force your hand. Don't allow anyone to force you to make a quick response. You should do this in your own time. If you're not ready to make a response, then don't. Don't let other people force you to do that or feel that you have to do that. So, all right, so what do? Someone comes up and they say something to you. I want to give you a couple tools for your back pocket just to be able to get a pausing type of space. So number one, someone comes up and says something to you and you're like, oh, hey, just about to go get a cup of coffee. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Or two, wow, you seem really passionate about this. This seems like a big issue. Let's schedule some time so that we can talk about this in a constructive way and see if we can come to a resolution. And the third one, this is kind of a all-purpose, is you can say, wow, that's a really interesting point of view. Now, the thing about that is what you're calling it is you're calling whatever they said their opinion. And ultimately, that's what it is. Almost everything we do is our opinion of how things should work in the world. And so pointing it out, I don't think is always, pointing it out in a nicer way, in a graceful way, I think is really important because then they can think about, well, what do you mean point of view? This is a fact. Maybe, or maybe it's just your opinion. The other option is you can just say nothing and have an awkward moment intentionally. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's an option if that's something that works for you. Finally, this is not just about verbal conversations. So the pause button is also really important when you're dealing with written communication, especially email. Sometimes you get an email and you just whip off a quick response, and again, you may say something you regret later, or you're angry, or you're frustrated, or whatever, you're under a lot of pressure. So a couple tricks for email. If you have to respond to the email that day or within a short period of time, what I do is I get up and I walk to the restroom, or I walk around the office, or get outside, or go to lunch, so I can clear my head and come back to it and give it a more considered response. Whenever possible, I don't want to send an email until I can read it without getting upset. So if I can read it and feel like, okay, well, my intention there is good, then I will send it. And sometimes that means leaving it overnight and sending it in the morning. Another thing to do is you just write everything you're feeling into an email, wait, don't send it, and then come back. So you're venting any frustration, then come back to it, rewrite it, and send it in a considered way. One warning about that, don't address the email to the person, address it to yourself, because you don't want it to send by mistake, which I know people that have had that problem. So again, the pause button. Give yourself a moment so that you can give a considered response, whether verbally or in writing or an email.